Straight ahead on CCX News, parking problems, the issue in Brooklyn Park that could lead to changes. Plus, it just keeps coming. So much snow that Crystal plow crews needed to adjust. And dazed and confused by this April snow, we have a story that's for the birds that may surprise you. CCX News starts right now. A snow record is likely this April 3rd. As we went to air, more than 5 inches had fallen on Tuesday. And if you count when the system began on Monday afternoon, the amount of this lighter, fluffier snowfall adds up to more than 8 inches. Hello, everyone. The weather has a lot of people shaking their heads, wondering what happened to spring. It's also causing local public works crews to adjust their plans. Reporter Sonia Goins joins us now with more on that. Sonia?
Mike, it is horrible out here. The snow and wind is picked up from earlier in the day, and it couldn't come at a worse time. We're right in the middle of rush hour traffic, but as you can see, things are running pretty smoothly along Interstate 94. Public Works crews have been working hard all day trying to play catch up with Mother Nature.
You know, having residents be aware that we're out, we're doing the best we can.
Prince had it right. Sometimes it does snow in April. And when it does, it creates slick, sloppy streets.
We had one truck start at 1 o'clock in the morning because once everything melted yesterday, it refroze overnight.
The city of Crystal called in their crews earlier than normal. 6 plows are on the road during this spring snowstorm. Crews will clear 90 miles of roads. Much of the day will be spent scraping and salting streets.
Right now we're just out running the main snowplow routes. We're not out doing sidewalks or parking lots or any of that.
Bill Bowman says snow in the spring is a guessing game when trying to determine what resources are needed.
Well, they can predict 4 to 6 inches, but how much is actually going to stick to the roads is the big question.
And because Crystal staff is relatively small, they don't want to exhaust crews by sending them out earlier than they have to.
We like to not have them out any longer than 11 hours at the most.
Crystal Public Works has to be strategic in clearing the streets.
We're a smaller operation here, so we kind of have to do it in chunks.
But there is one bright spot to clearing snow in the spring.
It is warmer, so the salt is working.
Meanwhile, for folks who are tired of our unpredictable, unseasonable, and at times unbearable weather, might want to look to a higher power to make it all go away.
We'll just have to keep an eye on it, come back early tomorrow morning and hit the main roads again.
Now, it's expected to drop to 10 degrees overnight, and that could cause all kinds of problems on the road. The Crystal Public Works Department says they'll be out bright and early to clear the streets. They ask residents to remove their cars and garbage cans out of the road so they can do their jobs. Live in Brooklyn Park, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
Right, thank you, Sonia. Parking on the street during the winter is a big issue in Brooklyn Park as city leaders continue to discuss whether to change the rules. Currently, no parking is allowed on Brooklyn Park city streets from 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. from October 15th to April 15th. Getting people to follow those rules can be a problem, especially around apartments where there is a lack of parking space. Since October, police have issued more than 2,500 citations for various parking violations. On Monday night, City Council explored 3 options: keep the ban as is, shorten the parking restrictions by a month, or enforce the ban year-round. A community survey shows the majority of residents favor shortening the ban, but not all the council members were on board with that idea.
I would be in favor of an all year-round ban, but I just know that we need to get somehow a stricter enforcement, and if the county's not going to prosecute, then we need to do it ourselves.
Quite honestly, there's no winning in this argument, because some people, want it lessened, some want it year-round. What's going to make the best Brooklyn Park in the end ultimately has to be enforced.
So this time, I'll go ahead and open up.
No decision was made. The city manager wants to explore the issue further, especially to see how the city can speed up the towing process. Brooklyn Park Police continue to investigate an armed robbery that occurred Monday night at a McDonald's restaurant. It happened shortly after 9:30 in the 1400 block of 85th Avenue North. A store employee ran to a nearby gas station to call police. According to store employees, the robbers were wearing masks and black clothing, and one of them displayed a handgun. Police set up a perimeter around the store but did not locate the robbers. Nobody was hurt. And Brooklyn Park Police also continue to look for a driver who fled the scene after crashing a vehicle into a railroad crossing pole late Monday morning. It happened at the crossing on West Broadway, just west of County Road 81. Police say witnesses followed the driver, but police couldn't find the person. It's unclear what led up to the crash, and police continue to investigate. This unusual cold and snowy spring has thrown many of us for a loop. We wondered how birds are dealing with the winter weather. Does this delay migration? We get some answers from Eric Nelson.
Although it's early April, spring is just a rumor. The northwest suburbs is a winter wonderland.
Ah, spring in Minnesota, right?
However, when Mother Nature throws a snowy sucker punch, birds find a way to get through it.
Birds are really built for this. They have a great layer of down. It's like having a down coat on all the time.
It's pretty warm. They're not like, needing a lot of extra energy to keep themselves warm like they did in the middle of winter.
Yes, most birds adapt, survive, and sometimes even thrive in the elements. They can often sense extreme weather changes.
When the air pressure starts to drop, when storms are coming in, they will start to eat more. So anticipate that, keep your feeders filled, and help them out that way.
Despite the snowy conditions, many birds are already in a spring mode.
The sandhill cranes are still out calling in the fields. To them, it's spring, it's breeding season. The woodcock are still going to be doing their aerial dancing.
And we got a call from somebody yesterday, and there's a mallard hen who's sitting on her eggs.
Even chickadee, nuthatch, red-winged blackbirds, robins, and other birds have been spotted.
A lot of Minnesota's lakes are still frozen. Birds such as ducks and geese and heron are looking for any kind of open water, and when they see it, they flock to it.
The Wildlife Rehab Center is currently treating a double-crested cormorant that crashed into an icy lake looking for food.
Dropped down on a hard surface and broke his jaw, so he's one of our patients here now, certainly weather-related.
As for migratory birds coming up the Mississippi River Flyway, some are staying south until things warm up.
So there might be a lot of migratory birds now in Iowa, for instance, and as soon as they're able, they'll come up and be here.
In Brooklyn Park, I'm Eric Nelson, CCX News.
Still ahead, an older school in the Robbinsdale district that became new again. Plus, the Osseo baseball team has plenty of returning talent for the new season. We'll have a preview. But first, it could be a while before local high school teams actually see the field, temperatures hovering around freezing through Friday. It's a challenge to bring middle school students together from many different schools and then keep them interested in learning. In today's School Spotlight, that's the job facing the staff at Sandburg Middle School, which reopened last fall.
We are building a culture and climate. We started off the school year with establishing expectations, routines, creating many team building activities.
Think of Sandburg Middle School as a new school. The building had been closed as a middle school for 8 years, so when it reopened this year, it was all new to the 570 students who came there from 3 other middle schools in the district, as well as charter schools, private schools, and other districts.
Building a school from the ground up. So we also had all of our 6th graders coming in from various elementary schools and having them figure out who they are as a new middle school student.
None of it was easy. Principal Amy O'Hearn says it's about building relationships.
Relationships are key. Without relationships, we are not going to reach the students at the level that we need to reach them.
The day we visited, 7th graders were getting their hands on microscopes for the first time. And hands-on learning is key to this age and this school.
If you ask a middle school student how they best learn, they will tell you that it's hands-on. They want to have their hands in it.
You can see that in many areas of the school.
We got herb seeds, we got vegetable seeds, and all of this material was donated to us.
When the weather warms up, kids will go hands-on in the school's new community garden.
We used to have a playground out here. We took it out in the fall so that our garden could go in this square area.
It will be up to students to plan and do everything and then watch it grow right outside the classroom.
Students are going to do everything from building raised garden beds to deciding what seeds are going to go where.
We researched a lot of stuff about the penguins.
In another classroom, 6th graders are becoming a visual part of a slideshow report on heat transfer and insulation. What's the best way to keep a frozen penguin ice cube from melting?
We did 2 designs, and the first one kind of melted a lot, and the second one didn't.
The storyboard is translated into a slideshow to help foster understanding.
They're sharing it, and it's for them to be able to see the whole picture, the big picture and the story of what we've been working on for the last month, and really to explain it and understand what we've done.
The hands-on idea in band is obvious. 120 students are in different levels of band.
If you would like to draw a person in your artwork, how would you draw a person in correct proportion?
Art is another natural subject for a hands-on learning opportunity. It's about the art and then some.
Hands-on learning offers creative problem solving, teamwork, and the fact that students work together to set up their workstations, to make creative choices.
A lot of changes happen during middle school, and when you're building a new one from the ground up, Principal O'Hearn says it's about having everyone at the table.
Bringing families in, having opportunities for students to have a showcase of their experiences, whether it's arts, science, social studies, whatever it is.
Still ahead, a story in Golden Valley that's purely a laughing matter. But first, the Wayzata softball team finished strong last season, and they'll look to carry that into this spring. John Jacobson has sports coming up next.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The Wayzata softball team finished strong last season, and the Trojans will aim to build on that foundation this spring. Here's Jason Malillo with more.
After a bad regular season, Wayzata made a nice run in last year's section tournament, and the Trojans want to bring that momentum into the 2018 season.
The fact that we won more games in postseason last year than we did in regular season just shows how much this team can truly fight and doesn't stop believing in themselves. And that's our goal as a coaching staff too, is to continue believing and seeing that, not based on result, but based on what we see every single day in practice.
Wayzata lost only 2 seniors from last year's squad, so this group has a strong connection. They're also more comfortable with second-year head coach Kelsey Anderson.
The first year with the coaches, we're all learning. They hadn't seen the teams we were facing last year either, so it's a little bit easier. We're kind of going in knowing the team a little bit more and knowing each other a bit better, so it'll be pretty good. We're excited.
We started off our tryouts and our first week of practices really leading from where we took off from last year. We're working together as a family more, that we learned during sections that working hard is going to get us some more wins this year.
The Trojans' biggest strength will likely be in the pitching circle, as they'll have depth and versatility.
I don't have anyone that is for sure that top pitcher. I think it's going to be a teamwork, riding together kind of a thing. I don't think it's going to be one person all year long. I think it's going to be working together just as much as you do with your team, but as well as a pitching staff. So I think that each pitcher has so many different strengths, and depending on the opponent who's going to be pitching based on those strengths is going to be key.
Jason Malillo, CCX Sports.
The Trojans are scheduled to play their late conference opener Friday, April 13th at home against Edina. The Osseo baseball team finished in the middle of the pack in the tough Northwest Suburban Conference last season. Here's Jay Wilcox with a preview of the 2018 Orioles.
After playing a lot of juniors and sophomores last spring, the Osseo baseball team has a lot of returners in the lineup this season.
This year we're feeling a little better with some experience behind us now with those only 3 seniors, so we had a little underclassmen experience, so looking pretty good. Pretty excited to fill some new roles. And
a lot of position players have played some time. We got a couple of guys that have played a couple seasons positionally. One pitcher back that threw significant innings. Otherwise, we're looking for some younger pitchers to kind of fill that void of the guys that did the majority of the innings last year. So.
The Orioles started fast last season but leveled off and lost their first 2 playoff games as the 3rd seed in Section 8-4A. They think this group can change that. Veterans like second baseman Tim Lavin, outfielder Adam Lanners, shortstop Jake Contreras, and pitcher first baseman Cade Wiles are a few players to watch. it's a team that should defend well.
I would say our strength is definitely defense. We have great pitching, solid defense with younger kids with experience last year. Hits come and go, so we'll just look to bank on our defense this year and stay behind that.
With wintry weather lingering into April, fields are far from ready for play, and Osseo's has some extra work needed as a new turf pitching mound and home plate area is installed. The Orioles aren't getting discouraged and just keep plugging to get a little better each day indoors.
This fall we actually had some projects that got delayed because of the snow, and so we're a little further behind than expected with our field. We thought we were pretty close there last week with that with it clearing up, and then this recent snow just kind of keeps setting us back. But we haven't gotten outside yet, but the guys are getting after it in the gym and the dome here.
We all love to play baseball, and we're just looking forward to getting out there and playing outside. But we make the most of what we can in here and just get as many reps as possible.
Looks like Osseo will be pretty solid when the season finally begins. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
The Orioles were supposed to open the season Friday at home against Cooper and then have 3 more home games next week, but those games are all in doubt. Another snowy day for sports. Mike, back to you.
Everybody's done with the snow. All right, thank you. Up next, something to lighten the mood on this snowy April day. We'll experience Joke Day in Golden Valley when we come back. Well, finally, the April snowstorm did not put a damper on one meeting today in Golden Valley.
Knock, knock. Orange. Orange. Orange, you glad that was my last joke?
Okay. Tuesday was Joke Day for the Golden Valley Rotary Club. The club usually hosts speakers from the community, but at one meeting a few years ago, they didn't have a speaker. And since the meeting fell on April Fool's Day that year, members started telling jokes. And now Joke Day has become an annual tradition.
I look up jokes ahead of time. People are expected to bring jokes, but if they don't have a joke, they can buy one from me, and the dollar goes into our kitty for our Polio Plus program. So it's kind of a win-win.
Well, jokes aside, the Golden Valley Rotary Club meets every Tuesday at 12:15 at Brookview in Golden Valley. We expected to hear some jokes about the snow. Everybody's done with that. That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here again on Wednesday, starting at 4 o'clock.